got news for you. Yes, I do. I'm like your angel of love, girl. I've come to see you through. So when you cry, let me wipe your tears. When you're scared, I wanna be there to calm your fears. When you're in need, baby, ring my phone. I'll run right over and we'll make love all night long.
What up? What up? What up? You know what?
Hungry.
He's probably been sitting there for 3 minutes like that. Wait, come on.
He's been waiting.
That garlic gonna get to you, right?
How you guys doing?
Great. I'd like to announce that Sean Mason has been fired. Finally, Plan B works.
He's on probation. We won't say fired. We'll just say probation right now.
Unexcused absence. That's his second one. In the corporate world, that's grounds for termination.
This ain't nowhere near anything corporate. Else you'd have been reported to HR a long time ago.
Hey, that was not harassment just because I send you text threatening you. That is not harassment. That is enforcement. That's positive reinforcement. Telling you suck every morning does not count, Mel. And I can't say that I did that. You can't prove it.
All right, look. Ladies, first thing off, now that I'm here, we're not gonna have these long introductions, all right? So my name is Roger Jackson, and that's really all you need to know. After that, I need you to share this project. I need you to share this show. I need you to copy and paste. I need to see at least 500 live people tonight, okay? Sean's not here. We can do this. You're not afraid to post out because something crazy may come out there. There won't be any old man stories tonight, okay? We're going to be able to flow real quick. So I'm Roger. There's Glenn. There's Robert. And there's Mel. We do have a guest. Pierre will be joining us. So let me go ahead and bring Pierre up real quick, and we're going to get into these topics.
He's a smart guest.
You're getting right into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest, Pierre Dubois. Yes, he's been on before. I know what you're thinking. Look at that face. Just so pleasant. But guess what? He's what you call an expert. That's right, that man will point your business in the right direction. He covers everything from marketing trends to analytics. Believe it or not, pen to paper, that's exactly what he does. But if you feel a little overwhelmed, he can take it down to a 5th grade level too. Google Analytics is his specialty, and people all over the world call this man for that. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the cave tonight, Mr. Pierre Dubois. What up, man?
I am honored by. Oh, that is the best intro I've had in like ever. Woo!
You're official now. You got an intro and everything.
Yeah, people demanding these things now.
Y'all went overtime for that. Y'all went long.
Well, we had some extra time because Sean wasn't on.
Thank you.
Hey, so welcome. We're going to try to move quickly as Sean says. The hour goes by fast. I'm actually going to slow down because you can see I talk a lot and fast. You know, I had to slow down things in my marriage, talking all the time and giving directions and advice and managing the household. You don't have to say all that all the time. You know, you can just pull back and every now and then just do it with a look, or just a gesture. Say dinner hasn't been made. You can just sit at the table where dinner's supposed to be. And,
So for our new watchers out there, Raj is kidding.
No, he's not.
He's kidding.
He's got a book coming out. He's got a book coming out.
No. I am joking. I would never sit there and wait on dinner. I mean, we give that information early on in the relationship, so there won't be any misunderstandings. So, all right, tonight, Mel sitting there waiting Sean was back.
There's a lot of banter. No, only because I know that there are new people that tune in sometimes, and if they don't understand the banter. And they don't understand, how we are in the cave.
That's true.
They might think that some of this is like a very male chauvinistic.
You know what? You're
misogynistic show.
Well, let me start off because we've had that. And I actually had it on my page a couple times. And so I'm gonna open up with this is a podcast man cave show. As you see, it says live from the cave. You don't say live from the boudoir or sitting outside worried about your feelings. live as we understand the women's point of view. It says live from the cave. So we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about things that men talk about. Ladies, if you tune in for 3 seconds, you decide this isn't for you, then that pretty much understands why you're at home alone by yourself now, because you don't give any, you don't apply anything to anybody. If you would actually take the time and get the breadth of everything we're saying, you would learn so much more. So, all right.
Coming out from his new book, Women Just Be Quiet and Listen by Rod.
The thoughts and opinions of Rod, Bruce, and anybody else on the candidate don't necessarily reflect that of Mel Roberson or any entities that he represents.
Mel approves all the scripts before the show. He signs off on them, so don't believe him, everyone.
I don't.
All right, so look. So first off, we're not going to jump into the relationship right away. I do have a point real quick. So how many of you guys heard or saw the LeBron James interview or post-game interview?
I haven't
heard about it.
So LeBron got on, and after they had asked him the questions, I guess normally he would leave, and he said, I want to understand why nobody has asked me my opinion about the Jerry Jones picture. I understand it was a long time ago. I definitely understand that people change. However, anything that happens to any black man in sports or out of sports, you ask me my opinion on them, and you drag it out for weeks. With Jerry Jones, it was, he was behind a bunch of guys who were trying to keep brothers from joining school, and he just happened to be there. And that could easily be the case. But his point wasn't really to Jerry Jones. It was to the media and how not one single individual asked him his viewpoint on that when they asked him about Colin Kaepernick, who's in football and not basketball, and they asked him about a whole host of other things. So I just go around here. Glenn, what are your thoughts?
I think that was a good point because they want LeBron James' opinion on everything, and especially what's his name, Jason Whitlock. He's always looking to bash LeBron James for anything he says and does. So I am surprised that there's nothing but silence for that. And I give him credit for asking that question, kind of calling people out about it.
Yeah, and it was pretty much dead silence. He said, I don't need you guys to respond. I just want to put it out there. And Jason Whitlock, he was on a Roller show, or I should say Roller, was a hot mic, saying that basically the way he is because he has to keep those views up. That's a certain base that he appeals to. So he says that mainly to maintain them. And he was transparent about it.
Really?
Yep. So he may or may not feel that way, but it still doesn't matter to me. That means you're that much of a weak of a man that you're willing to sacrifice your pride and who you are for ratings.
So you're an actor pretending to be a journalist, basically.
There you go.
Yeah,
like most of Fox News.
People are trying to do now. Just kind of get their word out there, no matter what it is, just to have traffic, to have advertisers pay for what they're doing, so that way they can continue on. So unfortunately, it's unfortunate the world's like that in a lot of ways too. It's not for everything, but there's some folks out there who don't understand that people respond to you because you're true to the game, not because you.
Yeah, I love that people call it for the ratings and everything, But if a prostitute was selling it on the street, she'd still be a prostitute. So you're prostituting yourself. You're a media whore, basically, is what you are. You just don't want to call it that. You want to call it something sophisticated for ratings and all those other reasons. But you know what? The hoe is a hoe, and that's what you are.
Okay, I'll take a drink.
He's a media whore.
Robert said, "I'll take a drink."
Well, I hadn't thought of it that way,
Yeah, but you just put a fancy shine on prostituting yourself out to get ratings and to get a certain group to agree with you. So you bash this athlete who's actually done a lot for the community, and you decide at every turn you're going to bash him and then you go and admit that you're just doing it just because you want ratings. Then you are prostituting yourself out.
But don't we do that with social media in general? I mean, when we see the whole big thing with likes and the influencers and things like that, they're doing it. And some of it's being done for ratings.
Robert, those are streetwalkers. So to me, if you put yourself out there, on
those are different than prostitutes.
Well, so if you put, it's the difference between prostitutes and escorts. So if you put yourself on social media and all you want are likes, then you're the street hoe.
Yeah.
All right, because you're not really getting a lot for what you're putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if say you have an OnlyFans page and you're clocking in 6 figures just to show your feet, you're sophisticated. It's a little bit different there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're an escort, you're going after spending time and talking to them. What do they say? 80% of escorts never even have sex. They're just talking to the people because the guys just need somebody that's going to listen.
I wouldn't know, but okay.
I'm serious. I don't even know. No, but and that's amazing. But yeah, you're right. It is. People that have to be seen, have to get likes. I mean, you do it for your business, of course. That's different. But individuals that literally that's all they care about. It's sad as an adult. It's dangerous as a child for kids to start off that way and do it.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I think that opens up to a whole worm of insecurities that are listed there. As a man said on the clip you sent, Robert, a guy can look at a woman in about 5 minutes, pretty much, categorize her and know what it is. But if you're on social media, you're going through that page, you're looking at pictures, the profiles, all that other stuff. But anyway, I didn't get around to Mel and his thoughts on LeBron's comments.
I almost forgot the question. Y'all was so buck wild.
They led me down that path. I'm an on-topic guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's the interesting part is not only did they not ask LeBron, they didn't ask anybody.
Yeah,
like it's not a topic of discussion. Kaepernick was a topic of discussion everywhere. Kyrie has been a topic of discussion everywhere. Jerry Jones is not. Kevin Hart got canceled from doing an award show for something that he said years ago that he has since apologized for. Yet, Jerry of Jerry's World, which is a magnificent stadium, by the way. I mean, horrible team, great stadium. It's just like, oh, this happened so long ago, or somebody said, was that even him? Yeah, so I think he brought up a good point, but it's systemic. It's another thing to have us looked at a certain way.
Yeah. Roland was on Stephen A's show earlier, which shocked me.
I don't like him.
That shocked me. And he was
took
saying
Jerry Jones' side.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, he defended it.
Yeah, well, he would. Stephen A's on Fox a lot.
Are you surprised by it? That I was about to say something about that. I can't find something. Are you surprised that Stephen A. Smith took his side?
No. That's who Stephen A's always been.
Yeah.
He's tried to clean up his act a little bit, because I think he's talking about possibly running for office whenever he leaves journalism. But
will y'all consider him a journalist?
Not about as much as Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, right. But one thing Roland said was it wasn't so much that they didn't ask; they wouldn't ask because those rooms usually have one black sports reporter in the pool, maybe one, and of course, no black owners. So
of course,
you don't have that diversity even there to even put the pressure on enough people to ask the question. And of course, Jerry, whether he did or didn't, I mean, some people say, well, you have to allow people to forgive and change, and that's true in all of our lives. But to me, Jerry Jones systemically has shown that that's not who he is. So why are we expecting him to all of a sudden change who he is? This man rules with an iron fist, so to speak. So I don't understand why anybody would expect anything less of him. And none of that's until there's a black ownership, and then most of those players start gravitating that way, then it'll change. Just like now with the black athletes out of high school deciding to go to HBCUs and they're pulling that money away. I mean, when you have college coaches making more than professional coaches, you're affecting with that university's bottom line in a severe way. And so, Deion is out here talking to these kids about, hey, I can get you into the pros if you want to come. If that's what you're looking at, I know the people. But in addition to that, I can make you well-rounded, and I can make sure you graduate. I would love to see the graduation rates and the majors of every black athlete just in the last 10 years in football alone. Basketball is a little different because they're going pro, they'll jump right out of high school, maybe 1 year or so. But football, I think they have to graduate, have to be so old and wait.
They have to be a junior at least, junior.
Yeah.
Their class has to be.
I would love to see those and I think that ought to be a requirement. I think somebody ought to make a book and just have a school that lists all the graduates, all the black athletes, all the white athletes, what their majors were, and did they graduate or not.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know, who's being used.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I've heard Deion is up for some Division 1A.
I think Ohio.
Shannon Sharp actually, and I thought Shannon Sharp was just a loudmouth at times, but he really made sense because he talked about it because somebody brought up Deion Sanders Academy, and I guess it went under or something happened with it. And I guess they're bringing that up as reasons for him not to get a bigger job. And he was like, well, nobody said that to the coach that got caught with his girlfriend and had an accident and lied about it and lost his job. And the next year he got another job at a big college. Yeah. Nobody said that about a coach who blatantly cheated. He just got back into another major college job after spending a year at a little bit lower level Division I. He's like, all of a sudden now it becomes an issue. You know, the Colts hired somebody straight out of the ESPN booth to be their head coach with no coaching experience at all. Just a couple of weeks ago, and passed over 3 qualified assistants.
And that was interesting. A lot of the black players on the show with him, I think it's Get Up in the Morning, Jeff Saturday, and some of the brothers that are on there, their previous athletes, like, hey, you know, I like him. He's a great guy. He's a great person, but both can be true. I can wish the best for my friend and understand he only got that job because of his relationship with the owner. And,
exactly.
And all these individuals being told you don't have enough experience, or better yet, I'll bring you in so now you can say you actually were interviewed for a job, and they just rotate that all the way around. He said, I don't need anybody with experience. I want this dude. I want Jeff because he has no experience. Right. And that just blew everything out the water. I mean,
Eric Bieniemy, who's, if you don't know him, he's the offensive coordinator for Kansas City. We're talking about the top offense for the last 5 years. Yep. 2 Super Bowls, one title, and hasn't gotten a head coaching job yet. Name me an offensive coordinator that has that kind of record that didn't get a head coaching job almost right after the Super Bowl that they went to. There's not one. So that's an example of it. It's who you know. It's, as Mel said, it's systemic, even in sports, where the playing field is level when you're on the playing field or when you're on the court. That's the only time the playing field is level.
Let me ask you this. I mean, backtracking a little bit, some of the stuff that we were looking at, talking about in the past and forgiveness, and these coaches are being overlooked for a lot of stuff. Is that something that people overlook because of relationship or because of money? Or is it even a cultural thing? Like, you know, some people say we forgive too early, you know, with this is crazy. Why can I not think of the pedophile singer's name?
R. Kelly?
There you go. He was, you know, people like, oh, I believe him, I don't believe him, I forgive him, I don't forgive him. And it seems like sometimes maybe not we're harder, because I'm perfectly fine with the brother being locked up. But sometimes people just overlook that stuff. And I wonder if those coaches are overlooking it because of relationship or they're overlooking it because of finance. Pierre, what do you think?
That's a good question. I feel like it's more relationship than anything else for coaching. It's this idea that, and to me, it's like that's the racism I think I always worry about. And in fact, to be honest with you, I worry more about that than even the N-word in some ways, because it's always when we try to aspire is when people sort of show their fangs. They can be extreme. You know, there's people that can be extremely polite to you, and if you're trying to aspire for something, they hold you back. And part of that holding back is little things in your history. And I think it's always something that's always a worry. I think for coaching, I think the challenge has always been there's never. They seem to be okay with having a brittle pipeline of coaches, but there's not a lot to challenge it in that arena in the same way they would in something, say, corporate, where companies now realize that if they're going to talk diversity, they need to be speaking about a pipeline. Whereas the NFL, there's other dollars that people can spend on, but for the most part, they got America by the balls and financially in terms of having attention, having getting sales, getting revenue from people buying tickets, programming and so forth. So they can afford to be a little brittle and have a little bit of nepotism going on. I think that's always going to be a struggle for coaching, and for certain areas of entertainment is always going to be a struggle. I'll just say that. So.
That's interesting. Robert. Well, it's interesting that you said that, because when you said, I don't see it getting better. I don't see it getting better in corporations. You know, we have DEI, and you know, that is the whole premise of every organization. They've got to have it open where we can come together and sing Kumbaya and find some black talent. But if you go back and look in those organizations, there's not enough of us. You mentioned, Pierre, a pipeline, which would be great, but there's not a pipeline in these corporate positions. I was looking at a company just the other day. I was researching it, and they probably had two African Americans. One was the diversity officer, and the other was an executive assistant. So, I mean, it's and this is 2022, and we're still struggling with that. Even in sports, we have the same challenge. You mentioned LeBron and being able to shut down an interview session. Do we have others that could do what LeBron's doing, possibly, and be able to speak up? Maybe.
Yeah,
but it's few.
Yeah. I mean, there's some speak up, but not enough to
make a difference.
Make that tip, yeah.
Yeah, it's not enough to make a difference. So we still struggle with. Is that because, Roger? I think you asked the question earlier. Is it about money? That's doing it, and there was a second half to it, to the question that I don't know what the answer.
And also, I think it's culture. I mean, the NBA is drastically different than the NFL. To me. The NBA is a lot more buy-in. There's a lot more diversity at the top. I'm not even sure how that came about. Just maybe, I think those players at the time were a little bit more outspoken, but the NFL just seems to have this real plantation mentality, death grip on what they do. And not so much just for black players, just for the players, period. It's almost like it's really a class system. You won't see how many NFL owners' sons play in the NFL. You kind of look at those numbers and those things. And you're like, okay, something's going on here. Where you're saying, hey, I'll do this and I own the team, but no, you're not gonna go on the field, son. You're gonna help run the team and own the team. We don't want you doing that. And how any kid after the 100 or whatever years the NFL's been in place, not one child's desired to play in the NFL and followed his dreams. That his father said, my son's gonna play on my team.
Yeah,
now, you get those brain injuries. It's not going to happen, And no, I'm not going to go down that path. That's a whole nother firestorm. But
good point, though.
Yeah, but remind me about relationships the next time I'm on here, because that's a. I'm gonna say this. Okay, so with culture in those teams, and it goes a little bit to what I was saying though. I personally believe, this is just me. So personally, I believe you marry whoever you want. I don't care who they are. If you're in love, you marry them. However, I'd also like to see the number of NBA and NFL head coaches whose daughters have married an athlete or any black man, as opposed to the number of black athletes that have married outside their race. It ends up being a cultural thing more than an individual decision thing. If it wasn't, there's no way that many people around that many athletes wouldn't want to marry one and have a relationship with one. At the same time, that many brothers that probably mostly seem to have grown up in the hood wouldn't turn around and all say, oh yeah, Becky, you're who I want to be with. It doesn't make sense. It's more of a culture. When the 94 Bulls, they all took a picture together with their wives. There were two black women, Hodges and Jordan. Every single woman was white. And again, I could care less who you marry. I have a bunch of friends that are in interracial relationships, whether it's black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever. But when you have that picture, that sends a different message. It opens the discussion to something more relevant of whether it's cultural exposure, or you just feel like, hey, I got me a black man, or I got me a white woman, or whatever it is. But anyway, I think it's just the culture around those sports teams. When you look at them, that is just really, really interesting. My 2 cents. Okay, that
could be a whole subject.
Yeah, it's just something that I've noticed. It's like, how is that possible?
I was wondering where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, now don't get me wrong. I have one friend. She's white. She says, "Raj, I'm gonna tell you right now. I looked for my husband on the basketball court at college. That was my goal."
Well, that's kind of where it starts. It happens in college. That's actually where it happens.
Yeah, there was something on. And forgive me if I go off a little bit. There's Sports Illustrated. It was on players with illegitimate kids, and I think there was a section that talked about Shawn Kemp when Shawn Kemp was playing, and one of the points that was brought up was, if you're a baseball player, you can kind of hide in a bar. If you are a basketball player, it's kind of hard to hide when you're 6'5", near 7, and it's kind of hard to hide. So sometimes it feels like, I don't want to make it sound like people are gold digging and that type of thing, but it's a little hard to hide and not be a little bit targeted.
That's true.
I don't know how much that plays in the choices that people have made and what have you, but Sean Kemp, I still shake my head at that every day. It's years since he's been playing, but I still shake my head. There's just a point where it's like you have to. I think there has to be a point where you know that you're targeted a little bit as an athlete or a famous person, and not everybody has the grooming like LeBron James. LeBron James is groomed, and what I mean this in a good way, in the sense that he's he was representing Cleveland. He was supposed to be the next. He and Kobe were supposed to be the next Jordan, so to speak. There was a certain when you have that put on your shoulder, that may be a lot of responsibility, but it also means that potentially you got people around you who are kind of saying, "Hey, I wouldn't do that if I were you," or "Hey, if you're going to do this, here's a consequence of this." And I think the great thing about LeBron is that at least there's something there. And some players, they don't always, and not every player realizes when it comes to leadership. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not even just basketball. I'm just talking about leadership, period. Some people get into the leadership position and they don't know what they got. And they're making some effed up choices along the way. That effed up choices can run from decisions that impact people to even the people they get married to.
No, that's a good point. You're right about LeBron kind of coming up and being an exception in a way to the rule of athletes and kind of the path that they take. And whoever, I don't know who guided him or who helped him with that, but they did a great job of it.
You know what? It's interesting too. You think about the athletes, because not every athlete comes from a broken home like they want to pitch that out. There's a whole lot of fathers out there.
Right.
But I wonder how many of them were around enough people of influence to actually direct them financially and morally down that path. I mean, you have all these brothers coming out, especially in NBA, they're coming out of 1 year of college, maybe. And all of a sudden you got $20 million, $10 million in your hand and family that all want a piece of you.
That all want a piece.
Yeah,
every athlete should watch the documentary Broke when they come out.
Yeah, read the book, $1 Million Slave. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna jump here real quick. I did, because we're thinking about forgiveness and all that. Anybody seen Emancipation with Will Smith? Did that come out yet?
Is that out yet? I didn't think it come out yet.
It didn't come out yet? Okay.
I don't think it did.
I don't think it's out yet.
On Apple. It's on Apple TV. That's what I'm wondering.
It's on Wakanda, I think. I personally. Wakanda a little bit.
I did take my daughter to see that. She was amazing. I loved all the women in that movie.
Yeah,
that was great. She just smiled for 2 hours and 45 minutes through the entire thing. Although it was a $60 date, but it's all right. It's my daughter.
Man, those movies, are expensive.
Yeah, it's harder. I think it's harder now. It's harder now without Disney started doing that releasing on Disney Plus like maybe a month or two after it comes out. I think now we're starting to get sensitized to it. It's that popcorn.
Man, those tickets were $47 for 2 people.
COVID ruined us. COVID ruined us because we got used to these releases at home.
Yeah.
And now it's like back to fairly normal.
Thanks, Amanda. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna cancel my Disney Plus now that I can't get. I got
the first run movies.
Yeah, I'm forced to go back to the movie theater. And you know what? The tickets actually, by the way, at AMC weren't that expensive. It was just the popcorn. I eat nachos, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, Robert, look at you. He's that guy that still buys snacks there.
Of course.
You got to get that coat with the 4 pockets, man.
Right.
That caramel. You got the mix.
And your
mask on the ankle.
And your little mini liquor
come
bottle.
in with that, huh?
Why is that brother wearing a wool coat in July? I don't understand.
Why is he walking in with 4 legs? Stop moving so fast. I have Bebe's kids behind me in the theater too. Boy.
Right. Oh my God. That happens every time.
And it was a theater you have to be 21 to get into. That's what was. I mean, you have to go with supervision. If you're under 21, you need an adult. but they brought every kid there. Mel, go ahead and say something because you look like you.
I'm good. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well, here's something that's gonna get you fined. So, Pierre, I can't remember. You married or not?
No, I'm not married.
Not married. Okay. So everybody has these. Men and women both have these red flags, right? You know, you see somebody like that's a red flag. I know right away to say. I'm not gonna ask you what your red flags are because we pretty much all have the same one or just enough. I want to know what yellow flag, what flag came up that you knew it was a flag, but you were willing to overlook it and work with it because of what you saw in front of you or because of the intellect or the business acumen or whatever it was. Was there a yellow flag that you're like, I really don't like this in a person, but if I see it, I can overlook this because I can work with that and forgive it, or unfortunately think you can change it, which is always a bad decision to make. Mel, I'm starting with you, only because of that look on your face. I went up his skin.
He's asleep. That's what it was. He was tired and he was taking a quick nap.
So here's the things, right? I think there's a difference between what's the best way to say it? There are no perfect people, right? It's a matter of, are their imperfections tolerable for me, right? If it's something that is a quote unquote red flag, like a smoker, I'm not gonna date a smoker. Like I have no interest. You know what I mean? Like crazy low credit score. Say what you want. I'm not. If you're not good with money, I'm not interested. You know, that's not a lesson I'm trying to teach. You know what I mean? It's not something I'm trying to do. You know, so there are things that I know that are my deal breakers. And I think sometimes people they know what their deal breakers are and they identify them and they say, well, it's just kind of a red flag or whatever. Well, if that's the case, if you know that red flag is a deal breaker, or if they're into something that you're not into, why would you even entertain the idea with the hopes and aspirations of this person changing? It just doesn't make sense to me. So, I mean, I'm married. I knew what I was getting. Else I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? Like, period. So, are there some things about her that she does differently, and it wouldn't be how I did it or whatever? Yeah, but was that area or that space so big where I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I could deal with this for the next 50 years? Well, apparently not, because I gave her my last name. So, yeah, I never did red flags. If there were some red flags, I didn't ignore them. Now, there were some things that I was naive to, and I think that's different. But when you're talking about red flags, this is all right. Your spidey senses are tingling, but you let it go because you want to be in a relationship so bad. Nah, don't do that.
Okay,
Robert.
Oh, so thinking about what Mel said, I think that I'm probably more of a forgiver and understander that everybody isn't perfect, including me. So there are probably things that that I don't do well. Well, I won't say probably. There are things that that I don't do well and that I'm not the best at. So Mel kind of mentioned the credit scores and some of the other things. I think everybody has potential. And I think that for me, what has happened, good, bad, or indifferent, is I've seen the potential of someone, particularly what we were talking about, Roger, is at the beginning, because we don't see their credit score when we first meet them.
Shit,
we don't see all the other things.
Tell me your credit karma right now. First date. Before. So your credit score is going to, just like it determines what type of car you can get, it's going to determine what you can order.
See, that's what I like about Mel. Mel wants to see that stuff right up front.
Mel's got a little device. Mel's got a little device that picks up your phone information and pulls it and runs your credit.
Ding, 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 ding.
So I'm sorry, Robert. I'm sorry. So if they had like an extreme situation where it was some medical stuff or whatever, all right, I get that. Or life was going good and they lost the job or something or whatever. That's cool. I get that, right? I haven't always been in the most perfect situation. However, if it's oh, I make 6 figures, but I spent, I make 150 a year, but I spend 250 a year because I need a Birkin bag and red bottoms every time I go out. And I put them on my American Express that I'm supposed to pay off before the cycle ends, but I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And now I got 30s, 60s, and 90s on my credit because I ain't paid my stuff on time. That's a little bit different than I was legit sick and got some medical bills that are outstanding, and that's why my credit is that way. So I'm not saying that I people do have potential, but I'm not going to be the victim of your bad decisions, is what I'm saying.
But when do you find that out?
Poor planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part.
And, now that comes with age. I mean, we're all over 40, so that wisdom's there. But when you're 25 to 30, you may not even recognize certain flags at that age. That are there. Now, at this point, you should. When I see people on their 5th and 7th relationship, not by design. Some people want to be that way. That's fine, but not by design. After 45, you're like, you should have seen that coming at some point. It didn't take you 90 days to realize that he or she was a jerk or unkept or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, I think there's some good stuff to that as well. But even for people who have gone through several marriages, those are things too. We kind of judge people based off of how many times you've been married, or how many times if you haven't been married, so it's one of those things. But the thing for me, I don't ask, and maybe there is, something that I can get from Mel that will tell me, right up front as I'm sitting having a conversation with her, that, the credit score is it's 600 and they're in their 40s, and, they should have a much better, I'm not talking
Is it
about
because
people.
they don't have any credit though? Like if I look at that and you don't have anything and that's why your score is low because you haven't utilized your credit, okay.
But that would make me more curious to kind of find out, well, why? What's going on?
It could be just because they don't know, what's going on. I think the halfway part of this too is that I hear where Mel's coming from a little bit too. I think there's some things you want to find out from people, but a lot of it is also thought process too. Like for me, I think if you're older, like if you're in your 40s or 50s and stuff, you can't name at least one guy that you dated that you liked. And you broke up with, I understand that they may have broke up for some practical reasons, maybe y'all moved or have you, but if you're giving me a litany of people that you just, oh, this person's an asshole, this person's a jerk, oh, this person had a bad beacon score and they were a jerk, this person was an asshole, jerk, and a bad beacon score, and they robbed their mama. That type of stuff, it becomes this sort of, thing. I think the challenge becomes, and I hear where Mel's coming from too, and Mel, I'm not disagreeing with you entirely. It's just, I think the problem becomes, and I think what Robert's saying, at what point, what's the process that leads into it? And I think as we get older, we start to peak game a little bit more about why people's, credit was fucked up. Maybe it was, I don't know if I should curse or not, but I'll let it go. But the thing is,
this is a family show.
Okay, cool. All right. Don't worry.
Hey, we're in the cave. You can say whatever you want to say.
All right. Okay. I won't go no Vaseline Ice Cube on anybody. I promise that. So, but the idea is, you don't want people rolling up to you and being like, okay, I have a bad credit score, and then they're not doing something about it. Which I think is what, you don't want to walk into that with people. And that's the part that can be sometimes hard to see until you are actually spending a little time to see, oh, they're spending time spending on this thing and they shouldn't have been spending on that, or not spending at all. So those are the things that I think are sometimes a little bit hard to spot.
That's so nice, Pierre. That's sweet. All of you have been so professional. You're talking to a bunch of educated men. I'm sorry, Glenn. Go ahead. Round it out like I don't know you're about to say. Go ahead.
No, here's, and yes, those gentlemen were very nice about it. That's true. But let's just be honest, men and women both. Here's your problem, one of them. If she looks like Halle Berry, man, she could be smoking and rob her mama, and you would make an excuse for her. She could be a smoker that robbed her mama.
Yeah.
And you would make an excuse. Women,
no, I
if
wouldn't
you like him, if you're in love with him, or you think he's fine, or you think he's rich, you're going to make excuses for them, and you're going to ignore all those red flags, and you're going to just bypass it. You're going to put your halo on and get your Jesus effect out and think that you can save him, that you can heal him, that you can make him walk, that you can make him see, and all he's going to see is you. That's what you do. As you get older, we hope you get better, but some of you don't. That's just the truth. No fool like an old fool. And most of these guys are in their 40s. I'm 39-ish, but they know this. You get to that point, and we all know that one person that meets the same person over and over and over again, dates the same person, basically just with a different face. We know it. We all got a friend that does that. So I think that, yes, you should not ignore the red flags. And I'm very big on remembering stuff because I'm an Aries and we don't forget anything for a long time, much to our detriment sometimes. But if you're not honest about who you are early on, that concerns me. And that's something that I don't forget. Go ahead, Roger.
Okay, so you guys went in on about credit scores and FICOs and all that, and that's great. To me, that's like, well, except for Mel, that'd be like a month down the line before I actually, start looking at your credit score and stuff or so.
I was going to ask that question.
I was really trying to get to the, not red flags. I think I meant to. Not so much a red flag, just the yellow flag, just the warning sign.
Oh, the warning sign.
And that's like in that first 48 hours. It's like when she comes and her toes are a little bit longer than her shoes, that's a little bit of a warning sign. The claws are hanging out over the front of it. You ever seen that? I've seen that. And that's one of two things. Either she can't shop or she's actually still growing. And you got to think about it. At that age, why are your feet hanging over the end of the shoe? But whether it's a tire,
those Jimmy Choos were on sale. That's what it was.
If she's still growing at 40, she's taking HGH, and then you have some other questions that you need to figure out.
Right.
There's some hormone pills or something going on there. If she's still growing.
Exactly. You can have the hairiest chest in the world. Just shave that sucker, wax it or something. But I want to see laying my head on your chest, rubbing my face together.
I like this. Like they say, I hope you don't mind if I shave my chest, or I hope you don't mind if I do this, or something like that. They start off with "I hope you don't mind," and then bring up
you don't mind.
That you're not going to probably want to have happen. So,
but it's just things like that. What I was kind of looking for, like smokers, like what Mel said, that is true. Smokers, I was never into. That's never. Just it's never going to happen. Attire, breath. If I walk up on you, I might give you a pass. I'll ask you, "Oh, Caesar salad for lunch?" If you say no, okay.
Yeah, and what's really important is if you're not hot. Okay, that's a yellow flag. Sorry.
Well, that's different for everybody. Now, I will say that there is somebody for everybody. Every single person has somebody that another person.
And I hope the not hot ones find each other.
Just have a cold Merry Christmas, huh?
Sorry. I'm joking. I am totally joking. The thoughts expressed by me are the same as Mel's. That's all. That's my disclaimer.
I mean, so if you walk up on this person, how long does it take before you actually see and ladies, you can chime in as I know you will, whether I ask you to or not. And men, there's a couple of guys on there. L Boogie, you calm down.
She's funny.
How long did it take before you saw the crazy in her eye? Because we all had that crazy one. So how long was it before you actually saw the crazy in her eye? At some point, she either said or did something. You're like, oh, there it is. Without her saying a word, you knew she was crazy.
Okay, yeah. Some of them are good actresses, though. Sometimes you don't get the crazy until the first 90 days. And you have to do, men, this is the love doctor speaking to you now, 90 days. It's not counting. If you dated them under 90 days, it doesn't count as dating. That 90-day warranty, because in 90 days, you should see the crazy.
Wait, 90 days?
You should see that crazy in 72 hours, man. What you talking about? 90 days? Dead in 90 days. Wait 90 days.
Some women
she will kill you in your sleep in 90 days.
Unless you trigger her, she might. Okay,
you trigger her. Let me tell you something. My grandfather gave one of my aunts some very wise advice once. She was thinking about getting married. He goes, "Have you had an argument with that man yet?" And she said, "No." He says, "I need you to have one because you need to know what kind of man you're dealing with. Is he going to walk out? Is he going to give you the silent treatment? Is he going to cuss you out? Is he going to hit you? But find out now before you get too deep into it. Not a big fight, just something small. See what his agitation is. and figure out what's going on there. Now, I don't necessarily advise that, but if you've never seen a person angry after 30-something days, you may want to find out exactly what they do before you wake up with a click. Dag nabbit, it jammed. You know, you need to know before you have time to recock that sucker. That's right, Amy. Triggers.
But there's no time limit on crazy. They could.
Hey, look at you read your mind. Amy said.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
There's no time limit. Robert, you married, and I'm sure there were some things you discovered. I'm not saying any of that bad that you married was crazy, but I'm sure there are things that weren't revealed to you in those first 6 months.
Well,
he's trying to categorize them now.
I know he's starting to
by marriage and by crazy.
Remember I said I'm a forgiver. I walk, my
we're gonna work on that. No more.
Yeah, my kid's mom. We were 23 years old.
I used to be a forgiver.
Yeah, that's a different thing. But I think we walk into situations where we see the Halle Berry, we see the potential, we see the skirt that she's wearing, this tight as hell, and there's some potential there. I mean, so that's kind of a hard thing, but after you see them wearing those pencil skirts for a few dinner dates and things like that, you kind of say, yeah, no, I can do
the hard thing. I got you.
I could work with her. She robbed her mama, but her mama probably owed her money. That's what it was.
That's Robert right there.
She's a good woman in a bad situation.
That's okay. That Birkin bag, she could afford
that 300 credit score. Mel told me about that, but Mel don't know what he's talking about. It's just a 300. That's only like 400 points from good. She got, she can make it.
She can raise that up.
Yeah,
I can teach her. I know some tricks. I can get some stuff removed from your credit score.
Yeah,
I know how to do that.
We can write some letters together, baby. We gonna sit down and write letters together. We gonna do this. We gonna make it work.
Chantel's trigger was actually marriage. I see. That was his trigger.
Woo!
I was gonna say, I think for me, I haven't been married, obviously, so it's kind of sometimes the crazy comes up second date or second encounter, and I'm not sure if I got better at it as I got older or not. I've always been a little bit pragmatic. I stayed away from a neighbor because they were trying to request something from me to get my car. I'm not going to repeat what it is on live, despite the cave, but it was that bad. And I got smart and I stayed away from doing that.
Let me ask this. Pierre's sitting there talking about, hey, never been married and I'm quiet, I keep to myself. My neighbor asked some things. Does anybody else half expect a hand to come up over that little partition behind him with a little chain attached to it? Help me. It's always the quiet ones.
That's not what's
Pierre's gonna turn around. I told you to ask for permission before you come from behind.
Right.
Okay, Daddy. Okay.
Leather back
I
there.
know I'm evil. Like what's his face from
But what Rob was saying is it's about being forgiving, but also patient in relationships. And of course, once you are in the relationship, I think part of it is, I know with my wife, I understood the difference because I rarely get mad. I really long suffer. It takes a lot to make me angry. When I do get angry, it's a challenge. But I told her, I said, I can be frustrated and not mad. If I know who I married, to kind of what Mel said, 23 years, I know who you are. So I may be frustrated. I'm not gonna get mad. That's your core. You're that person. I knew it when I got into this. Just like with me, we get into a discussion. She'll say something like, okay, she's like, you don't get angry, you're not mad. I'm just letting you finish. That's what you do. And now we can go ahead and address things now that, we can talk. And there's no big deal where other people want to snap back or try to chime in or correct the person. I think it's a balance of being forgiving, Robert, but also understanding the core and the source of where that person is.
And that takes time.
And that does take time. But I know for me, but early on, there's some things you see that crazy,
But, you said a couple things too, Roger, and I think Mel and may have echoed this as well. When you're dealing with them from a marriage perspective, it's different than when you're dealing with them from a relationship perspective, because you've taken some vows and things like that, and you know this better than me, Roger, or just as good as me, that in marriage people change, so they're not the same 23-year-old for me, later on. There are things that change about our mates and things like that over the course of time and what have you. And we met them where they were back then, but now, they're different.
Yeah, the boundaries and the barriers, or I can't even think of the word, is different when you're married. I mean, if you're in a relationship, I mean, there's not even an agreement. I'm gonna get you all the way home. You keep talking, right? We can pull over on the side. You grown. You that grown?
Here's Uber. Do your thing.
I'm not gonna let you on the side of the road. But I'll let you out the bus stop.
No, I don't.
Then all of a sudden you're not that grown. Oh no! Hey, let me tell you something. I got popped off, and I was like, you know what? You're right. This is not working. You're 100% right. Let me let you off somewhere safe, like the zoo or somewhere, right in front of the lion's den. But no, I mean, and I did. I mean, she was funny. Actually, I did say that. She just started laughing. I'm like, no, they're right. This isn't gonna work. But I'll let you out somewhere. But I'm not gonna be taking you all the way back because this is a waste of my gas and time. The way you acting. Your friend lives around the corner. I do believe we can drop you off right there. And of course, Glenn, I ended up with "I have spoken."
Of course you did. Of course, because that always works.
It always works. It works, gentlemen. Any relationship, you want to make that point, you end it with "I have spoken." Just challenge yourself. Every marriage should have challenges.
Make sure you've been with her at least 5 years before you do that.
Right.
That's true.
Under advisement.
And you have a second bedroom. Just
never.
So that you can retire to.
Retire to. Okay, another bit of advice here. Never in my life have I ever not slept in my bedroom. I never will. If you that mad, you leave the room. But there's no way in the world I'm going to have somebody kick me out.
You may have slept in the bedroom, but did she stay there too?
Yeah, she did. Because we perfectly come being mad at each other, facing opposite directions. I can go sleep, wake up. Now that next morning, guess what? Made breakfast, had a conversation, talked it out. But actually leave and go somewhere else? Nah, that ain't happening. I'm never that mad. Never. It's never going to be that serious. It's never going to be that serious. I'm going to leave the bed. And to me, that's even more of a commitment that this marriage is going to work. Because if I leave the bed, I'll leave the house.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving the bed.
Or vice versa. Women are just as, you're saying it from a male perspective, but women also keep grudges and are emotional just like we are. And they will leave the house and leave the bed.
I've been in relationships where they left the house. I should have locked them out. Now that I think about it.
Hey, I had a friend that did that. His wife used to step out on a regular basis. She came home, that door was locked. She couldn't get in. She ringing the doorbell. He's like, "No, learn you." The streets. That's what you wanted to be.
See, that's scary because in today's society, women are the originators of divorce more than men are. Yeah. So in that case, she'd be like,
it's a little. It's society in general. It's easier. I mean, there's very little commitment, I think, from anybody on anything, whether it be a marriage, whether it be a job, an occupation, a home. We don't seem to be really committed to anything or anyone. Even family, which used to be just sacred. My family is insanely close. My mom is one of 19, and every Sunday we would get together at my grandmother's house. That's a lot of people for Sunday dinner. And that means you kind of forsaken your own individual families to come underneath your grandmother. But I don't even see that anymore. It's kind of like, hey, hi, see you, goodbye. Nobody really has that tie anymore. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just social media or just society in general.
I think it's having too many options in some ways too. I'm not suggesting like limit things or what have you, but we have more options available to us, which I think helps in some ways. But at the same time, all those options of what to do and what have you, you start losing some core things where you need to be centered and go back to. There was a book, I think it was Raising the Hall. I may have to go back and get the name, but it was about 4 people during the 1990s. Each one was Black who grew up in Baltimore, got into the middle class, moved into the suburbs, and they all found their way back to an AME church in the same AME church in Baltimore. A lot of them was just trying to get a spiritual center. The idea of just having someplace to reconnect with people. And I think that's what's missing right now. It's like there's not something spiritual, but just having that one thing that you go back to and so you can reconnect. I think
I
that's
agree with you. Yeah.
options now. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I got distracted by El Boogie's comment there. I don't care how, and you roll her eyes all she wants. You think that's going to affect anything? You think? Should I tell them, Glenn? Do they really?
I'm not saying anything.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I don't care how mad you are. You can roll your eyes left, right. You can perform the Exorcist. If it's getting done, it's getting done. I don't care. And that's just to her comment. If anybody wants to know what I'm talking about, you can go there to the left. I'm not going to say anymore because I'm getting in trouble.
Yes. Well, I think it's important if we're in the kitchen that the knives and everything are hidden away.
Really, Robert?
Man,
Robert's like, really? You want me to show you, Glenn?
I remember here, right back here, this was an argument back in 2004.
Remember, Knives Out is a movie title. Not a suggestion.
Right.
Not a conversation.
Right, we're about that time. And
wow, this feels funny. We went through at least 10 questions. We've never done this.
I knew you were going to say that, you know.
Yeah, well, it was a fun being on tonight. Look forward to seeing you guys. Pierre, thank you so much. I do. You know what? I gotta see. I'm talking, so I'm not supposed to be reading the comments like I normally am.
I'll say, I appreciate
see how hard it is for us.
Yeah. Okay. This is a good time. I really had a lot of fun and really enjoyed it. This has been good.
I appreciate it. Anybody got any last thoughts? Last comments from anybody? Robert?
Mel?
Glenn? Mel?
No, I already posted my disclaimer in writing.
Oh, you did?
I saw that.
He just disclaimed the whole show, basically.
So
go ahead, Robert.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna come behind you, but go ahead.
All right. No, just final thoughts. Good show, Pierre. Thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight. First-time viewers, we appreciate you. If you didn't comment, it's okay. We still appreciate you. Tell people about the show. That's all I got to
say. So here's what I have to say real quick. I think that, you know, women in general are beautiful. So I enjoy, you know, the women. I am a lover of life, so I love women, and all shapes, all sizes, you know, all personalities, all of that sort of stuff.
I said last thoughts. No, we're not. His DMs, go to those. All right?
That was a DM slide. Right. Hi, I'm Rob, and I'm an Aries, baby.
That's right. You know, I'm like Kenny Lattimore.
Right now, 10th, anybody that is,
you know, it's my birthday, you know, so yeah.
Glenn likes to think he's the relationship expert. Actually, it's me. So
Love doctor.
Let me let you know, anybody that is having any challenges, right now, look at the camera, any challenges in your relationship right now, just hit me up privately and I'll let you know the secrets to my 30-day challenge. I guarantee you it will correct every problem you have in your household.
Wait a minute.
Guaranteed.
I forgot something, right? It's a holiday. It's the side chick, side piece Thanksgiving. Because the Thanksgiving was last week, the traditional Thanksgiving, because the men had to be with the family. But now, side chicks, it's your time to shine. It's the makeup weekend for you. It starts tonight. So put on your best dress, put on your high heels, put on that fragrance that he likes. It's your weekend. He's making it up to you. So take advantage of this.
My.
Yes, side chicks. I'm talking. I haven't had a message to the side chicks in a while. I got to get that started again. You know, and men, side pieces, because some of you are side pieces too. It's your weekend too. So you take advantage of it too, brothers. Be strong.
Good night, ladies.
Come to love.
Have a good one. We appreciate you.
Camped out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.